two Peel Regional Police officers discharged their firearms at a man this morning at Pearson Airport. This occurred at Terminal 1 in the departures. We have investigators on scene processing and collecting forensic evidence. What I can tell you is this man was pronounced deceased at the scene. That's contrary to earlier reports that he was pronounced at hospital. That's incorrect. He was pronounced deceased at the scene. And I know earlier there was a report of 3 discharged, but that's also inaccurate. It's 2 officers who discharged, but 3 officers who were present at the time. According to early information, it was at about just before 7 a.m. where there were officers at the airport who were made aware of a man in distress, and he was in a Jeep Cherokee parked outside the airport. And there was some conversations happening with this individual, and early information indicates that this individual produced a firearm, and the officers responded with shots fired. I don't know how many shots. That's too early to confirm. We're still collecting that forensic evidence. But what I can tell you is early information indicates that this male did not discharge his firearm. However, a firearm was produced. This occurred outside of the vehicle, and then the officers on scene provided first aid, and then that male, paramedics responded, and he was subsequently pronounced deceased. Any questions?
Can you talk a little bit about the de-escalation between firearm being produced and shots fired? Do you have any information about if there were attempts to de-escalate the situation, or how long it was until the firearm fired?
It's a bit too early to say kind of the exact circumstances that happened prior to the shots being fired. It was a short amount of time, and there were some conversations happening, and then in the course of that, the man is believed to have produced a firearm, and then subsequently the 2 police officers responded by shooting.
Was the man in or out of the vehicle? Can you just clarify that again? Was he inside the vehicle when he was shot, or he was outside?
So initially the man was in the back seat of the vehicle, and then it ended up being outside of the vehicle.
Can you give any information about the nature of the knife?
I don't have much information on the initial call. The information I do have is that it was a man in distress that was at the airport in this vehicle outside on the departures level.
Has the gun been recovered?
When you say in distress, can you just tell people what that means? And also, all the evidence being gathered outside of the terminal, nothing inside?
So the information I have is that the evidence is outside of the terminal, in and around the Jeep Cherokee that's parked. As for the nature of the call and the nature of the man's behavior, could be considered possibly a little bit erratic, but I would say in mental distress. Maybe agitated, raising his voice a little bit, something like that, to that effect.
Was this a long argument with security? Because Chief of Police with Peel said there was about a 10-minute period between the Peel officers responded.
Right. So I really don't. I can't speak to that. I don't have that information.
Has the gun been recovered from the vehicle or the area, like not the police gun?
There is a firearm. Yes, correct.